Hey there, this is Ragnon, and I wanted to record a quick crash course video to get people started for Holy Priest and Disc Priest going into patch 10.2 Amdrasil. I'm super excited. We're just a couple days away, and this is hopefully a resource that you can use to get started. As with just about any guide video, I do want to preface by saying that information in videos can become outdated very quickly, so please take everything with a grain of salt. This is just purely for stepping into the raid in the Mythic Plus season and hopefully getting a clean start. I waited as long as possible to make this video so that hopefully the information can be as correct as possible. But if there are changes that take place, I'll do my best to update in the comments and keep you updated that way. Other resources to look for regularly updated information would be Icy Veins has great guides on both, and then Warcraft Priest's Discord channel. If you're not a part of that, join in. There's lots of helpful people there. And then also feel free to join my Discord, which you can find linked in the description, where we have conversations about all kinds of stuff like this. So first of all, if you are using my UI from the UI video that I posted recently, it does again use Atrocity's AUI, and to make that work with Disc with the changes, I honestly just went into the weak aura and you search for Schism and then set that to load never. And then you also do the same thing for Shadow Covenant, for Disc Priest specifically, and you set that to load for never. And then everything else should work just fine, because those two skills have been lumped into your pet and into Mind Blast. So by disabling those two things, the UI is still working fine. So let's talk real quick about changes to expect going into the next tier. Also, by the way, this is just meant to be a very quick guide. I'm going to be recording much more in-depth guides for both Raid and Mythic Plus on both Holy Priest and Disc Priest, with better production quality and stuff after I get a bit more footage and a bit more practice and stuff like that, and we let a little bit of time progress so that things settle. But first of all, what changed with both specs and where are they sitting as far as ranking and stuff? Holy Priest had some changes. They lost one target on their Sanctify. The Symbol of Hope and Salve got a little bit of a nerf. Symbol of Hope got a nerf on the amount of time that it reduces cooldowns. But honestly, with all of that, the playstyle is going to be about the same. There weren't too many changes to our mana, so Holy Priest is going to be among the most mana-efficient healers, which is awesome. And one of the biggest complaints is Salve is going to, with the nerf recently to the 4-piece, Salve is going to be much longer before you can get your second salve. I think it was like 4.5 to 5 minutes is what they're projecting right now. So that's a bit unfortunate, but it should still sit well as its intended role, which is a flexible and versatile throughput healer that can respond well to damage and have a flexible profile for progression and stuff. As people are learning mechanics and stuff, it's going to have that responsive healing that's needed while we're figuring out how the damage is going to look, because testing on PTR is great, but every time there's a launch, it's often very different. So as we see what's needing cooldowns and stuff like that, Holy Priest can be a very flexible healer for that. Our tier set is kind of boring, but it's strong. The extra procs from the 4-piece to our Holy Words means that we're going to have a lot, and it's also going to add value to our Miracle Worker. So Miracle Worker looks like it's going to be the go-to capstone talent for both Raid and Mythic Plus because of the charge system for the tier set. The tier set, you have to spend a Holy Word in order to consume the proc for your tier set to regenerate a Holy Word. So it feels much more smooth to have 2 charges than to just have the one, because if you only have one, then you have to wait for it to come up before you can actually use your tier set proc. The playstyle does not change for Mythic Plus and for Raid, really, so my previous guides and stuff in the meantime should mostly be correct as far as the rotation section and spell descriptions. Let's talk about Disc Priest real quick. So Disc Priest obviously did get a lot of changes, but it's much more simple than it was before. So looking at Mythic Plus specifically, in my previous Mythic Plus guide video, I included like, rotations for your Shadow Covenant windows and stuff to maximize. Honestly, a lot of that's gone because Twilight Equilibrium is much worse than it was previously. You have less shadow spells available because of how Mind Blast has now been morphed into the role of Schism. It's really just Schism with another name, essentially, now. But since we have less shadow spells to cast, Twilight Equilibrium is not as important. From everything that I've been hearing and reading and in practice, Twilight Equilibrium is honestly just kind of a passive benefit, and you don't really have to pay too much attention to it, and it'll just be a nice 15% bonus during your heaviest hitting skills, because Smite is your default, so you're going to be sitting on a shadow charge for a long time, and then when you actually use your shadow charges on like a Dark Reprimand or something like that, then you'll get the benefit from it. So it's still helpful. You don't really have to think about it too much anymore. On Disc, all of the power of our spec has been shifted to our pet, for better or worse. That's just how our playstyle is now. I personally have really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it a lot. So Mindbender and Shadow Fiend are your two big spells. So when you cast that, you'll enter Shadow Covenant, and your Shadow Covenant will remain active for the duration of your pet. So currently, both Mindbender and Shadow Fiend are viable playstyles. I'm currently using Mindbender for both Mythic Plus and Raid. For right now, I believe you can get Mindbender down to about a 45-second cooldown-ish because of Void Summoner. So all of your focus now is on having strong pet windows where you're casting a lot during those pet windows, and then outside of your pet windows, you're casting Smite and Penance as much as possible to get your pet back up. So everything's about your pet now, which can be fun. And so in Mythic Plus, really it looks like trying to get as many uses of your pet as possible, and then you apply your Atonement mostly through Power Word Radiance. So when the group needs healing, apply Power Word Radiance, and then go into your pet window. If you get caught off guard and you're in the middle of your pet window, then you can apply Radiance while you're in your pet rotation and stuff. It really is that simple. Lots of smites. In Raid, it looks similar to how it did before. The ramp section of your Atonement application is almost exactly the same. So if I go to the dummies here, there are two components to a successful ramp. There's the Atonement building block, and then there's the damage building block. So I'm going to turn off sound so we don't hear all those, all that blizzard stuff. But so there's 3 different types of ramps that we can discuss here. There's the Rapture ramp, Evangelism ramp, and a mini ramp. And you can see more details about all of these on Warcraft Priest in the FAQ section or on Icy Veins. But the Evangelism ramp, essentially, in slow motion, it looks like apply your Purge the Wicked and then refresh it. If it wasn't already on the target, you need to make sure that it's its max duration. And then you Power Word Shield. So actually, before I continue, let's talk about the priority of Atonement applicators. So Power Word Shield is the most important one and our most valuable Atonement applicator. And then below that are Renew and Flash Heal. Renew is going to be our most frequently used Atonement applier. As for a single cast, I can't talk today, sorry. As far as our single cast abilities, simply because Power Word Shield has a cooldown. And then Flash Heal is going to only be used once, and that's due to Binding Heals. Binding Heals allows us to also benefit from Flash Heal. So at the very end of our ramp, we Flash Heal somebody else, and that applies Atonement to ourselves. So we get 2 in one cast. We don't do that for all of ours because it's more expensive than Shield and Renew. So sorry, again, it's Purge the Wicked and Refresh if it's not. And then it's going to be Power Word Shield, 3 Renews, and that will allow your Power Word Shield to come back. So Power Word Shield, 2 more renews. And then Flash Shield, because Power Word Shield won't be on cooldown. You Flash Shield somebody else in your party, and that will also apply it on you. And again, I'm doing it in slow motion, so my atonements are falling off. And then a Powered Shield, you finish with 2 Radiances, and then Evangelism, and then you're into your damage component. Okay, so that's the... I'm also in the wrong build, so I didn't even have I didn't even have Evangelism, but so I'll go ahead and swap here, and I will do the Uppies build. So I'll do it in full. I'll talk about the damage section now, and then I will do it in full speed. So your damage section, after you apply all of your atonements, the damage building block of your build looks very similar regardless of what atonement ramp you did previously. So it starts off with a pet, optionally, if you have it up, and if you want to combine it with that cooldown. And then it goes... so the pet will activate your Shadow Covenant. Then it goes Mind Blast, Penance, Death, so doing your 3 Shadow abilities, so your 3 heaviest hitters, and then it's just Smite spam until you have one of those available again. So it really is that simple. So again, Pet, if you want to use it for that ramp, and then your 3 Shadow abilities, so Mind Blast to get you into Schism, Penance, Death, and then keep spamming Smites and use the other of those previous 3 abilities as they come off cooldown. So here it is in full speed. So we got Birds Wicked, Refresh, Shield, Renew, 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 Shield, Renew, Renew, Flash Shield somebody else, Shield myself, Radiance, Radiance, Evangelism, Pet, Schism or Mind Blast, Penance, Death, and then you're into Smite spam. And then the reason that we focus on Smite spam rather than using Halo and stuff like that is to try to get our Mind Bender back on cooldown, off cooldown, ready, available. But if that's not necessarily a concern, then what you can do is you can fit Halos in to benefit from that Dark Halo. You'll get more value, but really the big priority is going to be on casting Smites and Penances and stuff to get your pet back off cooldown so you can have it again and get more uses throughout the fight. When we get our tier set in the next raid, it's going to make this so much stronger because our 4-piece makes it so that our Smites, while we're within our pet window, get double value essentially because they hit twice. It hits as a holy version and a shadow version, which means that we're dealing over double damage for the purposes of our atonement healing with our Smites, and then also we're getting double value from our CDR with a Void Summoner, so our pet's going to come up much more quickly. So next tier, once we get our 4-piece, you can expect to have about 30 to 45 second cooldown on Mindbender if you're playing correctly, and about a 45 to 1 minute cooldown on Shadow Fiend. And which build you pick is going to be dependent on when you need those timers. It's going to be dependent on the boss, and that will shape out over the next several weeks. You can look at how logs are shaping up on lorgs.io or Warcraft logs to see what the most successful disc priests are doing as far as their build for timings. The elephant in the room is Ultimate Penitence. Ultimate Penitence is not exceptionally strong. The easiest way to that I've heard it described is it is a strong choice for a 1 talent node. So it's not going to be a priority. It's probably not going to be something that people add onto their healing spreadsheets and stuff like that, their healing cooldowns. Really, the best way to use Ultimate Penitence is 1, if you need to ignore a mechanic as far as like knockback and stuff, and 2, you use it in place of a pet on one of your ramp windows. So it is not as strong as your pets, even though it's a 4-minute cooldown. You want to use it offensively, so casting it on an enemy, and you would use it right after you cast Mind Blast. So for example, let's say that I did a mini ramp. I'll take this opportunity to go ahead and show you a mini ramp. So a mini ramp would be, you apply your dot, and then it's just going to be Shield, Renew, Renew, Flash Shield somebody else, and then Power Radiance 1 or 2 times, and then Mind Blast, and then Uppies. And And so a mini ramp is going to be in between your big ramps, and you can choose to use 1 or 2 radiances based on how long you have until your next ramp. If you have, between 15 and 30 seconds until your next ramp, I would only use 1. And if you have greater than 30 seconds until your next ramp, then you can go ahead and use 2. Because obviously Radiance has a 15-second recharge, so you need to make sure you have it up in time for your next big ramp. So Uppies just essentially fills the role of a pet instead for a damage modifier to make your ramp slightly stronger. And the final ramp that I didn't show you, I apologize, is Rapture. Rapture is going to be use your dot, you refresh it to make its max duration, then you're going to use Rapture and keep casting shields until you run out, until the duration of Rapture runs out. Finish with 1 final flash heal on somebody else so that you and that person get it, and then Radiance, and then you go into your damage rotation. So Pet, Mind Blast, Penance, Death, and start spamming Smite. So that is really, in a nutshell, Disc Priest in Raid. Again, this is just it's slightly longer than I meant for it to be, but this is meant to just be a quick crash course on kind of what to expect as far as disc changes in Raid. So I'll be doing a more in-depth Raid guide with better production later. Let's talk about some gear stuff. So for both Holy and for Disc, you want to transition to 2-piece as soon as you get your next 2-piece from Raid, which you should get this week. Because again, you can get your first catalyzed charge this week, and then if you can clear either Heroic or hit 2k IO, or I think it's like 1600 rating in PvP in Arena, then or RBGs, then you can get a token for a Heroic tier piece, Curio, similar to last season. So this week, it's very realistic for you to get 2-piece, and then in 2 weeks from now, you'll get another Catalyst charge, which will bring up to 3-piece. And then, so assuming that you get 1 piece of tier to drop between now and the next 2 weeks, you will have 4-piece within the next 2 weeks, which is pretty sweet by week 3. So while you're getting that, you do want to get 2-piece on both specs. As far as embellishments and crafted items go, the 2 embellishments that we're looking at, unfortunately, Spore Cloak got eviscerated. It's terrible now. They keep gutting embellishments. So as of the time of recording this video, because it can change very quickly, our 2 best embellishments look to be Lariat, and these ones, I need to craft them before Tuesday. The Allied Wrist Guards of Time Dilation. So these are the 2 embellishments that both specs are being recommended to run, and which one you choose to run is depending on how selfish you want to be. So the Allied Wrist Guards are probably a little bit stronger for your raid team as a whole because more people benefit. It gives a buff to multiple people, whereas your Lariat is more of a selfish buff. It's going to be good for yourself. And a Lariat is, unlike last season, due to how many other of the embellishments have been nerfed, Lariat starts to become a pretty good choice even with just the 3 sockets on the neck. So that can be something that's nice to run. So those are the 2 embellishments that are being recommended to run. Those are the ones that I'm going to run. If you see this video and you have a chance to craft it before Tuesday, and you happen to have a socket lying around, one of these volcanic sculptors, I believe if you use the socket on the wrist guards before Tuesday, then as you upgrade it, it will already have a socket on it. Now, I've heard some people say that when you upgrade it into the new season, it goes away. I don't know. I have one laying around. I'm going to give it a shot, so hopefully it works, and I get to keep the socket going into next tier. So that's what we're looking at as far as embellishments. For trinkets, there are a couple trinkets that are universally good for both specs. One of those is Echoing Tearstone. That one looks to be an S tier trinket for both Disc and Holy. So that's a good one. Pips from the raid is good. That one is obviously not farmable. You only get 1 chance per week. So as far as other farmable trinkets, Balefire Branch from Waycrest Manor looks to be the best trinket for Disc. and so that's going to be one that I'm farming pretty early. And then other options, Venusaur, coagulated Venusaur blood looks to be a strong option, specifically for Holy, because of the proc crit chance. And then other options are Sea Star from Tides, Throne of the Tides. That one's a versatility and intellect. And then there's some others, but I'm essentially I'll link them in the comments and stuff. But those are I'm planning to go in and farm for Balefire Branch and Echoing Tearstone. Those are the two big ones that I'm looking for specifically for Disc, because Holy is less reliant on trinkets to be successful. And then I believe that's it. So I'm sure there's something that I'm forgetting. I'm trying to get this video out quick, so I apologize for the lower production quality than my previous videos recently have been. But if you have any questions, I'm a teacher in real life, and that's one of the big reasons that I do this channel, is because I love helping other people, and I love being useful and helping people grow and develop. So if you have any questions, I check my phone relentlessly, and I will respond to comments as quickly as I can. Or if you'd like, you are welcome to join my Discord, which you can find linked in the description. And I will be streaming the raids this week, as well as some Mythic Plus. Our raid nights are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Mountain Time. And I will likely be streaming outside of that as well on Mythic Plus. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely start to next tier, and I'll see you in the next one.